You're watching Open Agenda. Here's our host, Joe White.
Welcome to Open Agenda. I'm your host, Joe White. In the studio with me today is Councilman Joe Holloway from the 5th District, Wicomico County.
How you doing today?
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, hello.
Mr. Mike Goldberg, thanks for coming out from Delmar.
Good day.
So we had the county executive's legislative breakfast last Friday, which was the Friday right after the last council meeting.
Right.
And what I want to discuss in this episode is the two work session items, the bigger work session items, the liquor bills that came back up, that continue to come back up, and the MOA with the Corrections Department and ICE for 287G. But I want to find out, I want to get a sense, because you went to the legislative breakfast, were any of these a topic at the legislative breakfast Friday with the delegates?
Yeah.
How did they come up? I mean,
We had a list.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a pre-list made, things that were going to be talked about.
Okay.
Council sent in a list, and of course she had her list.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the liquor bills were actually proposed by John Cannon.
Well,
they were brought up.
Yeah, they were brought up. Yeah.
Mike, you were there. I mean, we didn't get notice that the public was invited to the breakfast until the very last minute.
That's correct.
And this came up last October, in fact. Holly Campbell got up and spoke and said, hey, look, there needs to be more notice about the legislative breakfast. I mean, it is a time when our elected officials are all in the same room, that the public is supposed to be involved.
Hi, everybody. Holly Campbell, Wicomico County. Couple quick things. I attended a couple of the sessions available recently. I attended the legislative breakfast that was conducted with all of the very important stakeholders, delegates, senators. I will say I was very disappointed that this was not publicized to the greater public. The public notice was posted the day before, and I found out about it the morning of. It had been posted less than 24 hours before that meeting. I did jump in there about 20 minutes towards the end, and it probably would have been really beneficial, but the entire row of public seating was empty. I would like to make that note because I think it's important that the public be involved, and one of the problems we're having is the public is constantly excluded. So something of that magnitude with the largest scale of stakeholders for the public to not be involved, I think, is inexcusable.
But we saw once again the county executive put this press release out 24 hours before the meeting.
I don't even think it was 24 hours before, and people were vociferously complaining on social media about the fact that it was not put out there. On the executive's official Facebook page, I clearly have gotten the sense, not just this time around, but last year as well, that the county executive does not want the public to be there.
Yeah, you were all crammed into a corner. On another show, she was very proud and boastful of the legislative breakfast and how much it's grown. But time and time again, we really see the priorities really focus on the liquor bills.
I'll give you a little history about the legislative breakfast. It's my understanding that was started back when I think Rusty Molnar was on the council, president of the council. And it was, of course, at that time, it was there wasn't a county executive. So it was run by the council, and it's been run by the council for a number of years. And then when this county executive come along, she wanted control of it. And it was always done on Saturdays. So it's been moved.
So it used to be more accessible to the public.
It was more accessible. Public didn't attend, and a lot of public didn't attend. I think 3 or 4 years ago, there was only 2 or 3 people there from the public because it really wasn't advertised. And, I don't think there was as much on the much going on. got people's dander up. But that's some of the history of the legislative breakfast,
Okay.
And,
I think people are interested now, though, because we've seen crisis after crisis after crisis under this county executive, and people are they're interested. They're tuning in to what's going on politically, which is a very good sign. But they should have been accommodated. They should have been informed so that they could at least listen in, if not participate, at least to be able to listen. They weren't given that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I want to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the liquor bills work session, and then in the last segment, I'd like to talk about the MOA with 287G.
Okay. All right.
Is that okay?
Sounds good.
So stick with us. When we come back, we're going to have a chance to talk with Councilman Holloway just about the work session from last October 7th, Tuesday night. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Open Agenda. Councilman Joe Holloway, thanks for sticking around.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mike Goldberg, Delmar, thank you for sticking around as well.
The windows were locked. I couldn't get out.
You tried to jump.
I did.
So at the work session last Tuesday on October 7th, there were two main subjects, and we're going to cover the first one first, which was about liquor bills. Next segment, we'll talk about the 287G MOA. The liquor bills, there's three more that are being proposed. And to me, these are starting to seem like zombie liquor bills. Like they're never alive, but they're never undead. I mean, this has come back up in less than 9 more months.
It's an ongoing saga.
Why is this such a priority?
Well, I think it's being, I think there was promises made
Okay.
in the past, and I think there's an ongoing effort to get those done. The county executive didn't send them forward this time, but apparently the licensing board brought them forward, which I think is probably out of the not under their umbrella what they should be doing.
You brought that up at you brought up at the last council meeting during the work session that you did not actually think this is in their purview.
I'm looking at your it's Board of License Commissioners.
Yes.
Where does that give you the authority, especially authority to expend monies to an attorney to try to change the alcohol laws in the county? Because you're the license commissioners, you're the ones that actually see who's going to get the licenses, and control who's selling alcohol.
The authority for the board to have an attorney is in the statute.
Well, I understand that, but
Well,
where does it?
You asked where the authority came from, and I'm.
Yeah, but I mean, where does the authority
I'll
come
answer
to?
your other question. So, you have the authority to request a legislative change to your local delegation. We come through you to do that in cases where the board has assessed a need for a change. You don't have to
But how does
agree with it.
I know. But what gives you how is it under your umbrella to you assess that there needs to be a change? I guess why? I mean, from a business standpoint, how do you judge to say that we need to change this so we can? There don't have to be restaurants there.
Well,
or any of the other laws here.
We're charged with enforcement of the alcohol laws
Right.
in the county. So the authority to come before you and request a particular piece of legislation that would change current law is implied into that enforcement power.
How is that implied in enforcement? If you're charged with enforcement, how's it implied that you want to change the law?
I don't think we're going to agree, Mr. Holloway, but I would say
No, I'm
it's
not trying
implied.
to disagree. I'm just wondering how it is.
Well, it's implied. That's
Where's
how I would.
Where's it implied?
It's implied in the language that gives the board the enforcement power of the alcohol laws. And you might
That's the
disagree.
enforcement. That's not changing the law.
Well, I'm answering your question, and that's the answer.
Yeah.
So the Wicomico County Board of License Commissioners, it is our, to your point, it is our charge to oversee the sale and consumption of alcohol in Wicomico County. That also includes enforcement, but it also includes our businesses, our economic drivers for this county. So what we as a board, our intent is to look at the entire picture. We're going to look at the enforcement, we're going to look at the safety. We're also going to look at the economic drivers for our county and for our businesses. So where we as a board, if we see a business need that we feel is lacking or is necessary, then we discuss it as our board and we decide, is this something that requires or that would need a legislative change? And then we bring it before you as the council. But what I'd like you all to recognize is yes, we are a board of licensing, and yes, we are a board of enforcement. We are also a board that helps the businesses in our community succeed. And they try to have their economic impact.
So maybe we should change the name from Board of License Commissioners to Board of License Commissioners and Promotions.
Not at all. I disagree with that 100%.
Let me just chime in. So the process has been, from the board's standpoint, to always come before the local political bodies on any legislative change. It's our policy, at least as long as I've been the attorney, that we would never bypass this body or the executive office and go directly to the local delegation. And frankly, I've been told that that's how they want it as well.
And specifically, you mentioned that they're using county resources through, paid time with their attorney to bring up something that's actually not in their purview.
Correct.
Explain that.
Well, if you look at what they're charged with issuing license, enforcing the law, and of course issuing fines. Making decisions if somebody breaks the law. One of the license holders. It's nothing in the law that I've read, and I've had an attorney look at it, and there's nothing in it that says that they're supposed to be lobbying, for businesses.
Well, they brought 3 proposals to you in the work session to get consensus to bring back as a resolution. One of them was to make it so that license holders, the 3 of them, don't have to have a restaurant attached to their establishment. Mm-hmm. One was to eliminate the need to get 10 signatures in the area to just get approval for a license. And then the third one was they want to move up the time that golf courses can serve alcohol from 10 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Right.
One of them didn't really get a consensus. They said to come back, and that was for the 10 signatures.
They almost took that off the table. They basically were saying, they're going to bring it back, but I don't think they're that interested in it, in doing it.
I want to hone in on the one particularly about separating, having a Class A license and having to have a restaurant attached. You mentioned in the work session when it was your time to talk that you feel like this is a baby step towards adding more liquor dispensaries.
Well, it is.
So a little history here. Years ago, back in the 50s, early 60s, when I was trying to buy beer before I was old enough, stores that sold gasoline couldn't sell alcohol. Okay? That was deemed discriminatory at some point in time, and they opened it up so stores could sell alcohol that sold gasoline. Mr. Bob over there has a store on a corner and then has an alcohol license, and somebody down the street says, you're discriminating against me because I want an alcohol license too. Now, I know you'd have to change the law. So, like I said before, this is just the first step. I want this council to realize this. It seems like these these bills come back every year. I think somebody even made a comment the other morning at the legislative breakfast saying, here we are again with more liquor bills. I think it was one of the delegates that said that. It's a step. I've been on the council for a number of years. I've never had people calling me saying we need more liquor stores. And our county executive, of course, has made a promise in the past that, we're going to relax the liquor bills so we can have more liquor stores in the county. I don't know who she's made those promises to, but that's pretty much what we're hearing. And they keep coming along.
You challenged Miss Jordan on that, and she seemed to almost agree with you that it wasn't in their purview to bring this up, but then also said that they were asked to bring this to you.
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean, anybody specifically was cited to have brought this to you?
No, they didn't say who it was. If somebody wants that, they the business themselves should bring it forward.
Yeah.
That's who should step out and do it yourself.
Well, and
don't use. They have to pay their county attorney. And if I'm being told correctly, and if I've read the law correctly, that's not what they do. Like I say, the number of years I've been on the council, I've not received any calls, if maybe one or two. Why don't we have a liquor store here? Why don't we have, why is the county running the liquor stores? Well, at one time they were giving us, $1 million a year. It's gone down now because of cannabis and because
broke the monopoly.
Yeah, the monopoly thing, and but it's not. With all the other issues Wicomico County has, this is what we deal with every year.
You're considered you're considered one of the staunchest conservatives on the council, and Councilwoman Cheney Shields is definitely not that. And you
Correct.
both have opposed these liquor bills.
I do not support this because the main reason I don't trust the legislation that whoever came up with this, because every year it's always been something about alcohol. Next year it's going to be something about alcohol. So if it's required to, and I don't see any harm, because what's going to open the door, and you might say it's not, it's going to open the door for other people wanting the alcohol. You might have to go to court for it. If you let one not have a restaurant, you're going to have others that want the same thing. And I'm doing it because of the trust factor, because here we go again, something has to go up before the General Assembly, and somebody is pushing this, not necessarily commissioners, but somebody's pushing this alcohol stuff, and I'm not supporting it at all. And that's all I have to say about it.
Essentially, this is the first step in having more liquor stores in the county. I realize that it only applies to the three that now have the three private stores we have. But the next step after this is going to be to change that number from 3 to whatever. I don't know why this board, which administers the licensing law, is initiating this. Let the people, or the people that have liquor stores and with restaurants, let them do it. And let the council stay out of it. Because if the council does a letter of support for this, it's an ironclad cinch it will pass in Annapolis. So be neutral on this. Let them go to Annapolis and argue their case without the support of the county council.
Mrs. Shields understands that her community does not want liquor stores on every corner. They understand, what that does to the neighborhoods.
Crime and violence.
Yeah, right. I represent the east side. I've not had people calling me and saying, hey, we need a liquor store in Pittsville, or we need a liquor store in Willards, or we need a liquor store in Parsonsburg or Walston Switch. So we don't, it's just not something that's been an issue. But it seems to be an issue to fulfilling a promise, I think, that's been kept.
Yeah.
And it's the incrementalism that kind of scares me. As the executive said, or perhaps it was Carl Anderton. Now that the door is open, we may as well
Correct.
walk on in.
Is truly amazing. I didn't think we'd get here. I hoped we'd get here. We had obstacles all along the way, from last minute amendments at the bill hearing but we got it despite the last minute amendments and changes. We got it through, and now it's on to the next step. Now that we cracked the door open, we just might as well walk on through. Exactly. So right. Again, to the business community, our restaurateurs, the Greater Salisbury Committee, Mike Dunn, we were on the phone several times. I was like, brother, these people are making me crazy. But we got it done. And so again, thank you.
Well, what kind of priorities did the executive lay out in the breakfast other than liquor bills? I mean, was that the most prominent part of what she brought forward?
She didn't even really bring it forward. Councilman Cannon brought that forward.
Okay.
He brought that
And he has supported these
He
changes.
has supported. Yeah, he's supported in the past. So anyway, no, it's been an interesting. It's been interesting just to watch. Like one of the delegates said, every year here we are again with more liquor bills. So anyway.
Well, I want to take some time and I want to discuss the MOA and the workings there for the 287G. Would you stick around for one more segment? We'll talk about that.
Sure.
So stay with us. When we come back, we're all going to still be in the studio and we're going to talk about the other part of the work session, which was the 287G MOA. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Open Agenda. Gentlemen, thanks for sticking around. I want to have a chance to ask both of you about the work session. We were all in attendance. You were obviously at the council table with the MOA, with 287G. And in particular, and we talked about this on a show we put out a week ago, that this is not an MOA with the Sheriff's Office and ICE. This is actually an MOA with the Department of Corrections and ICE. Is that accurate?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah. It was interesting that they had a representative from ICE via Zoom at the council meeting, and a couple times he was asked questions from the county executive almost asking like follow-up, like, well, this is how it would work. And
Mr. Mercurio, would that be a resolution for you, for your agency?
No, sir. How it works is the nominations will come from Mrs. Giordano. So whoever she decides will be the warrant service officers, then that is who I will delegate the authority to, or I will get the authority delegated to them. They'll do the training and whatnot.
now, in order for the sheriff's deputies to ever be a part of this, they would have to be a separate MOA or MOU with the Department of Corrections and the sheriff's office.
That's my understanding from that meeting, yes.
Do you feel like this is going to become very convoluted before it ever becomes apparent what's going on?
It got convoluted from the beginning,
Yeah.
I think. You know, a lot of folks came in upset about what was going on. I think if they'd known exactly what this MOA was going to be, as it was explained to us at the meeting, there wouldn't be as many people upset, because it basically says that, you know, they're going to charge these people after they've been, you know, retained for something else.
Yeah.
So the problem arose is when we seen the agreement, there's two things in the agreement that really jumped out at me. Is one of the things they said is there's going to be no cost.
Yeah.
Now, I've been in government long enough to know the government doesn't do anything that there isn't a cost to.
That's really one of the funniest things. And she doubled down on it. She said it once, and then she came back to it. And this is from someone who claims to be a conservative.
A lot of misinformation that is out there is the cost that the county will bear. So the way that we have worked this out with the sheriff's office and with corrections, it's basically budget neutral. It is not costing the taxpayers anything.
Yeah.
There's never a time the government
She
does
said
something.
it again on another show. She keeps insisting this is cost neutral.
If you go into the agreement and look at Section E and Section G, both sections mention what's going to cost.
Yeah.
You know, the training is going to be one thing.
Transportation.
In transportation, and then the other is the interpreters, which may or may not be a cost. You know, a cost.
It's not free though.
No,
if there's a cost,
free.
it's going to cost the taxpayers here money.
Free,
Yeah.
you know. And the other thing is, you know, the Sheriff's Department and the Department of Corrections is shorthanded right now. Now, I want to make this really clear for your audience. I think the Biden administration really has ruined the United States for a period of time now with what they've done, letting all the immigrants across the border, people that we don't know who they are, what their backgrounds are. I'm fully in support of trying to correct this immigration problem.
Sure. I mean, you're talking about people who were allowed to come here as undocumented folks by the Biden administration.
Right, right. And, you know, so how we do it is a different story.
Yeah.
I'm not fully against what they're trying to do in the county. My biggest problem with this is the information that's gone out or not gone out and how they have handled it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm in favor of having some sort of agreement with ICE to process people who are criminals of any type in our society, and if they happen to be legal citizens here who are also criminals, that there has to be a process there. But Vice President Jeff Merritt really took the county executive to task.
The amount of misinformation on this is absolutely staggering.
I disagree.
The amount of contradiction is staggering.
I disagree.
The press releases, the radio interviews, every time somebody gets in front of a microphone, something different is said. We've got it all documented here. We don't even know what's up at this point because so much different stuff has been laid out there.
Councilman Merritt, you've had every opportunity to reach out to the sheriff of this county.
Excuse me, right now, please, before we get anywhere else, we don't interrupt people here. Let him finish.
John, we're having an open discussion.
Let him finish.
I'm not done.
Okay.
We are not responsible for this. You've said so multiple times, multiple interviews. We've got it all right here.
Okay.
So have you now changed your mind?
Jeff, this is not about changing a mind. What happened was that I did not think.
If she didn't run to a microphone every time that she had a thought about this, it wouldn't be so non-transparent. Yeah, fearful.
Fearful, yeah.
Because you're seeing, I mean, Councilman Holloway, there was 2 hours of public comments
Right.
at the last meeting, and most of them were based around people who were against having MOU.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is starting to happen, or what I'm starting to see, is a lot of businesses in the county, business owners. In fact, I was talking to a gentleman that's in the landscaping business. I know him to be a very big conservative. You know, I mean, he's supported conservative values and conservative politicians in the past. You know, he said, man, it's starting to get hard to really find employees to do what I do. He said, not that they're illegal, because I try not to hire anybody illegal. He says, but they're just fearful to be on the street because they don't know if they're going to get picked up for one reason or the other.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you see the rhetoric that even the county executive had in the Baltimore Sun, where she stated that we're not really targeting people, but we're targeting people who may not be citizens. We should let ICE determine them if they should be here. If they are, then we'll release them. Well, that's a pretty scary proposition, and we've seen it in historical. You know, if you go back to Germany in the 1930s, there were people going around seeing, you know, what your status was, and then if they agreed with you, then they released you. If not, then
show me the papers.
Yeah, show
and that's pretty scary, of course, and can't advocate for that. But to me, the executive's whole approach to this has been anything but linear. It reminds me of a pinball machine. Ding, 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 ding. We've gone from the JEM model to the WSO model to the agreement being between ICE and the Department of Corrections. And now it looks like the sheriff's office is going to be involved. But originally they were going to be involved, and then it was detention, and now it's back to the sheriff being involved. And then she's chastising people for being confused.
Well, and don't forget, at one point she said the council has nothing to do with this.
Oh, yeah.
That now she's saying that the ball's in your court. In fact, she stated that on another show just yesterday, that this is completely in your all's court. And again, like, you know, you're talking about that you want there to be a process. There are a lot of us out there who want there to be a process, but I'm not sure if I trust her process.
For better or worse, the executive owns this. She's the one who brought it to the table.
My name is on this MOA.
She's the one who created the chaos and confusion. Even Congressman Andy Harris thought that an MOA had already been signed.
He congratulated us.
And congratulated, but obviously that was not the case. Is this incompetence, or is it intentional to keep the public confused and to keep the population unsettled? And it's the divisiveness and the feeling of not being settled, of fear, that can have very undesirable consequences, and it really concerns me. This is not how anything gets managed by a competent manager.
Yeah. What do you think the next steps are, Councilman Holloway?
Well, I suppose that at some point in time we'll have another work session. You know, our council attorney and of course her attorney, they disagree. It's an open-ended contract. There's no dollar figure on it. There's no dollar figure apparently that the purchasing agent can put on it.
Yeah.
So for that reason, the council doesn't have to be involved in it.
Okay.
Now, I think what the county attorney, Mr. Illuminati, was moving towards, well, the council has complained in the past because it's not been involved with different things that have been signed, which we should have been.
Yeah.
In the past, she has tried to work around the council. Safari at the Quarry was, a perfect example of that. She even admitted during a work session that she signed that MOU for 364 days to keep the council out of it.
Yeah, I think I
now
asked that
suddenly
question.
she's had a change of heart. Come on, zebras don't change their stripes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming out and
no
talking
problem.
to us. And as there are updates, I'd like to see if you'd come back on the show and talk to us about it some more.
Okay.
Thanks for watching this edition of Open Agenda. We'll be back later this week with another new episode. I mean, I just can't get it all in.
Well,